From the Detroit Free Press, in the heart of the Motor City, it's Friday, August 7th. Here are today's top stories.
Presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Bush's has over 4,000 Michigan products, including the freshest fruit and vegetables, meat, seafood, and baked goods. Stop by one of Bush's 16 locations for the personal service you expect from your neighborhood grocer.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Kerry Jr. II. 26 deaths were reported by the Michigan Health Department Thursday. 17 of them were uncovered in a review of death certificates. There are 722 new cases of the coronavirus, and in total there are over 85,000 cases and over 6,200 deaths statewide. 4 Michigan counties are at risk of an outbreak, and 1 county is at the tipping point of one. That's according to Harvard Global Health Institute. Both Wayne and Macomb counties, along with Branch and Menominee counties, are at risk of an outbreak. The daily new cases for those areas are between 10 and 25 per 100,000 people over a 7-day period. Gogebic County is currently at tipping point with 42.9 daily new cases per 100,000 over a week span. If testing and contact tracing efforts aren't at capacity, the Institute recommends a stay-at-home order for at-risk counties like Wayne and Macomb. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Janae Caldoun has said previously that Michigan has sufficient testing and contact tracing capacity. For locations at tipping point like Gogebic, a stay-at-home order is strongly recommended. On Wednesday, Governor Gretchen Whitmer declared racism a public health crisis in Michigan.
This pandemic has confirmed and highlighted the deadly nature of these pre-existing inequities caused by systemic racism. COVID-19 is more than 4 times as likely to take the life of a Black Michigander than a white one. And this reflects long-standing, deep societal, economic, and environmental disparities.
Whitmer also ordered implicit bias training for state employees and created an advisory council to focus on issues affecting Black people in Michigan. The goal of the council is to identify laws or gaps in state law that create or perpetuate inequities, among other things.
Today, I signed an executive order to create the Black Leadership Advisory Council of Michigan, which I will work closely with to develop our policies and paths to opportunity for Black Michiganders.
The governor did not announce new restrictions, but instead reminded people to wear masks and stay 6 feet apart. She did issue a directive on Tuesday to state agencies to enforce the orders that require safe practices from people and businesses. 53 United Shore employees tested positive for COVID-19 since June 29th. According to Oakland County's top health officials, some of those affected worked in the mortgage company's headquarters when masks weren't being worn. The governor previously signed an executive order mandating masks be worn indoors. County Health Officer Leanne Stafford issued an emergency order Wednesday. The order requires United Shore to enforce social distancing rules, face masks, and daily health screenings. Failure to follow the order will result in a misdemeanor, $200 per day in fines, and up to 6 months prison time. Stafford said in an interview that some employees that tested positive work from home. This suggests not all 53 cases are connected to the company's headquarters. A spokesperson for the mortgage lender says the company is following the order and the office is operating at 50% capacity. That's the latest. For more information on COVID-19 in Michigan, visit www.freep.com.
This is Free Press editorial page editor Brian Dickerson with my key takeaway from this week's primary election. Michigan has a lot of work to do before it's ready to hold a presidential election during a pandemic. Nearly a third of the state's 7.7 million voters participated in Tuesday's election. That's a record turnout for an August primary. More than half those voters, 1.6 million, cast absentee ballots. That's a record too. But many voters who requested absentee ballots didn't get them in time. Some polling places were moved at the last minute, and others didn't open on time. At least twice as many voters are expected to cast ballots in November's presidential election. State legislators, local election clerks, and the U.S. Postal Service will have to do a lot better if Michigan hopes to avoid a catastrophe on November 3rd.
This is Free Press Sports Editor Chris Thomas. Forget about the pandemic, or new schedules, or whether any sports season will even be played when the calendar turns to September. College football is back. And how do we know? Well, Michigan's Jim Harbaugh and Ohio State's Ryan Day proved it on Monday in an epic way. According to the Ohio State football news website Bucknuts, Harbaugh accused Day of illegally practicing after a photo purporting the claim surfaced. And get this, Harbaugh waited until a Zoom call with other coaches in the conference to bring it up. Epic, indeed. Day fired back, of course, telling Harbaugh to worry about his own team and Day would worry about his. And then Day reportedly went back to the Buckeyes, the players that he coaches on a daily basis, and proclaimed that the Buckeyes would hang 100 points on the Wolverines on October 24th, when the two teams are set to play. Yes, college football is back, with revamped schedules and players with newfound power, and all the glory of Michigan and Ohio State trading jabs. So embrace it while it lasts, because the truth is, we have no idea how the pandemic will impact the 2020 season. Either way, two things we do know. Jim Harbaugh is tired of losing to Ohio State, and the game can't get here soon enough.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.